The Bowers Gang is a group of 7 12-year-old neighborhood bullies who attend the same school as and are the worst enemies of the Losers Club after it. The gang is led by the crazed and mischievous Henry Bowers, while also being co-led by Henry's two best friends and sidekicks, the smarter and more moral Victor, Vic, Chris, and the unusually larger, stronger, and more slow-witted Reginald, Belch, Huggins. Although the fates of 3 of them, Peter Gordon, Steve, Moose, Sadler, Gard Jägermeier, were never made official, it is stated in the novel that the remaining child murders during the summer of 1958 after that of minor character Jimmy Cullum were of all of Henry's friends, creating the assumption that they were attacked and killed by it, possibly as means to worsen Henry's sociopathism. Henry Bowers. Henry Bowers is the sadistic and crazed leader of the Bowers Gang who torments the Losers and other kids ceaselessly before and throughout the summer of 1958. The novel portrays him as a hateful and violent 12-year-old boy filled with mischief and malice. Henry's sanity slowly deteriorates throughout the summer due to the influence of it and abuse from his equally crazy and abusive father, Butch Bowers, who has taught Henry to be a racist. Henry shares his father's intense hatred for the Hanlon family, the only black family in Derry. In addition to being a sexist and anti-Semite, he inflicts many acts of cruelty and humiliation upon the Losers during and before the summer of '58, such as attempting to carve his name onto Ben Hanscom's stomach, though he only gets as far as the first letter, ceaselessly mocking Bill Denborough's pronounced stutter, harassing Beverly and threatening her with sexual violence, killing Mike Hanlon's dog and bathing Mike in mud to make him a tar baby, breaking Eddie Casbrack's arm, pursuing Richie Tozier through town, and whitewashing Stan Urie's face in snow until it bleeds. His deteriorating sanity becomes apparent during his attacks on Eddie and Beverly. With the former, he pushed Mr. Gedrow to the ground and threatened him into going back inside the Tracker Bros store when the man tried to stand up for Eddie after Henry starts attacking Eddie with gravel. He kicked out an old lady's taillight when she tried to stand up for Beverly. After a violent rock fight in early July, Henry becomes increasingly sadistic until he eventually murders his father in mid-August with a switchblade provided by it, and also tries to kill the Losers. He chases them into the town sewers with his friends Vic, Chris, and Belch Huggins, only to encounter it in the form of Frankenstein's monster, who decapitates Vic and mutilates Belch's face. Henry fails to kill any of the Losers and manages to escape from it. When he eventually finds his way out of the sewers, the shock of witnessing his friends being slaughtered has driven him completely insane. He is convicted of the murder of his father and is framed for most of its murders throughout the summer. He is placed in an insane asylum and remains there until May 29, 1985, when he escapes with its assistance, and heads back to Derry to attempt to murder the Losers once more. After critically wounding Mike in the town library and being injured himself in the process, Henry then goes to the hotel where most of the Losers are staying, and finds Eddie's room first, only to be killed in the confrontation by Eddie. Victor, Vic, Chris. Vic Chris is a bully, and one of Henry's sidekicks. Among Henry's gang, Vic is most likely the smartest and most intelligent member and is the only one who truly realizes Henry's insanity, and becomes increasingly reluctant to follow him. The novel describes Vic as having good morals despite helping Henry torment the Losers. often wanting to scare or intimidate the losers rather than actually cause physical harm. When he makes comments and jokes, he often uses heavy profanity as well as implied or explicit violence. It is also noted that he is a more than fair pitcher during the rock fight, where he causes the most damage, partly and somewhat paradoxically because he did not want to be there. In early August, while in the Tracker Brothers store, Vic warns the losers of Henry's deteriorating sanity. He also almost approaches the losers to join them but decides against it. By doing this, he seals his fate and joins Henry and Belch in following the losers into the sewers, where the three encounter it in the form of Frankenstein's monster, who kills Vic by decapitating him. Later it appears before Henry taking the form of Vic, and Henry continually remembers Vic's decapitation. His corpse along with Belch's is later discovered by the adult losers when they go to face it for the final time. Quote, Reginald Belch Huggins. Belch Huggins is the other sidekick of Henry's, and earned his nickname due to his ability to belch on command. He is very big for his age, being 6 feet tall at 12 years old. Belch is considered stupid by most people, which he makes up for in physical strength and his fierce loyalty to his friends, especially Henry. He is believed to be a professional grade baseball batter. Belch follows Henry and Vic into the sewers to murder the losers, only to encounter it in the form of Frankenstein's monster. After it kills Vic and goes after Henry, Belch defends him and attacks it. Henry leaves Belch behind and it overpowers him and kills him by mutilating his face. It appears as a mutilated Belch to drive Henry to the hotel where the losers are staying. During this encounter, Belch shows a great deal of resentment towards Henry, which soon as Henry. His corpse along with Vic's is later discovered by the adult losers when they go to face it for the final time. Quote, Patrick Hochstetter. Patrick Hochstetter is a psychopathic and solipsistic bully who is part of Henry's gang. Despite his generally low reputation, even as a bully, Patrick keeps a pencil box full of dead flies, which he kills with his ruler, and shows it to other students. Even though he is still so young, he had committed multiple crimes such as stalking, sexual assault, theft, rape, animal cruelty, fratricide, infanticide, child murder, assault and arson. He makes sexual advances to Henry at one point, likely being in love with him. He also takes small, usually injured animals and locks them in a broken refrigerator in a junkyard, and leaves them there to die. Along with killing animals, Patrick has also murdered his infant brother, Avery, by suffocation when he was 5 years old. When alone with Henry after lighting farts with him and his gang one July afternoon in 1958, Patrick gives Henry a handjob and offers to give him oral sex, which snaps Henry out of his daze and prompts him to punch Patrick in the mouth. Henry then reveals that he knows about Patrick's refrigerator, and threatens to tell everyone about it if Patrick tells about the handjob. Once Henry has left, Patrick opens the refrigerator to dispose of the animal corpses but is attacked by a swarm of flying leeches. His only fear. The swarm sucks Patrick's blood, leaving large holes all over his body, which causes him to slowly lose consciousness as he is dragged away by it. When he awakens, it begins to feed on him. His death is witnessed by Beverly, and his corpse is discovered by the losers when they go into the sewers to face it for the first time. Quote, Peter Gordon, a well-off friend of Henry's that lives on West Broadway, who thinks of chasing Mike Hanlon as a game. Though Henry's crazed and increasingly violent behavior such as attempting to outright kill Mike with cherry bombs and M80s, begins to alienate him. He is also the boyfriend of an unattractive girl with heavy acne named Marcia Fadden. When school goes out for the summer, Peter, menacingly, invites Ben Hanscom to play baseball with him, and while on a date with Marcia, he insults the losers at the movies. Like Vic Chris, he also realizes Henry's eroding sanity, albeit only after the rock fight. He is never seen again after the rock fight. Quote, Steve Moose Sadler, a slightly developmentally disabled and very slow friend of Henry's, whose father works on the Hanlon family farm. He joins Henry in tormenting Mike Hanlon and also helps him break Eddie's arm in the park. However, Moose is shown to be more of a minion or a follower to Henry rather than a friend, and is more of a friend to Vic and Belch. Quote, Gard Jägermeier, a very slow and dumb friend of Henry's. He once pushed Richie Tozier to the ground, breaking his glasses. Aside from this instance, Gard is mentioned a few times throughout the novel, arguably making him the most minor of Henry's gang.